Welcome back to episode 2 of Pastor's Coffee. I think I skipped on the first time when I was explaining our name last week, so I'm going to do it again. Pastor's Coffee, we're both associate pastors slash youth pastors, so we're kind of doing the same thing. And usually the associate pastor supports the pastor, and I think a lot of people think all we do in the office is go and grab them coffee, hence the name. So that is our name. We have a lot in common. We like sports. We like talking ministry, getting to grow off of each other. So we're excited for another week of this and hope you guys enjoy it.
Okay. So, ministry wise, we have let's talk about some of the upcoming events. What's upcoming? Really, let's give the end of the year stuff that we're kind of doing with the youth.
Okay, I'll go first. I've got I'd started this little thing, and it wasn't my idea at all, but I'd seen some other churches do it, and I haven't seen very many in my area do it, so I tried it. But I didn't plan it very well. So again, we're kind of in that stage where we're trial and error. We try an event, if it flops, then it is what it is. But I've started this thing at church on Friday nights called Fifth Quarter, and it's basically to just give the kids an opportunity to have somewhere to go after the game instead of the parties and all the other stuff that they could get into. So I'm hoping to just open the gym and maybe have them have some fun, not too much pressure. I've been doing it from 8 to 12. The next 2 weeks, we aren't able to do it, but then the last Friday of this month, we're going to try it again, and hopefully that turns out well. In October, I've got a bonfire. November, we're doing a little mission trip and a trampoline park to incentivize it a little bit. And then in December, we're going to go to the Creation Museum. So I'm hoping that'll work out. So a few other things that aren't planned, but have gotten thrown out there and it would be easy to do on the fly. But as far as that goes, that's where we're at for right now as far as what's on the calendar. What about you guys? What do you got coming up?
We have a softball / Bible quizzing coming up this Sunday. Youth versus youth from church in PA and my home church in West Virginia. In October, we have a lock-in, which I also didn't plan.
Good luck, buddy.
Okay, so the problem is
those are my favorite.
I love lock-ins when I am a youth, but now that I'm an adult,
it changes, doesn't it?
No. Yeah. But no, the lock-in, I didn't plan the date well. Albina is due 13 days after the lock-in.
Yeah, you're gonna be.
So she's gonna be. She's not gonna be there the whole time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna need help. And I don't know exactly what we're gonna do except stay up all night and eat food. So so that's. I need to get on that because that's October 6th. Like that's beginning of October. So
yeah, that's close. That's real close.
And then we have November. I'm hoping to do what's called a turkey bowl. Where we have churches around the area, and we have a big 7v7 football tournament.
Yeah.
And so that should be
awesome. Yeah.
Be the whole thing. And then December we just have a Christmas party.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
So I'm excited for it, especially the 7v7 football tournament. I mean,
Yeah, that's you, man. Yeah, that's you.
I love that stuff. So
that'd be awesome.
Hopefully me and Alex, I'm going to try to get my Alex from college. We're going to get be the ref for the
okay. Yeah.
So that should be fun. And so we can get connected with his church, hopefully, and then a couple other churches. So that should be fun. But what about your daily work life? Okay, this is something that people don't get to see much. Okay, and I didn't get to see much of it until my internship.
Right.
Where in college, you go to the office, and it just seems like, because when you're at college, everybody does it. Homiletics, right? You're presenting for homiletics, and you do that bad boy the night before. You can't really do that. Can't do that much in ministry. So, So when we're daily work life, how's that looking? And then how do you, what do you do during the day? Obviously it varies, but And then how do you manage your 3 sermons a week or more?
Yeah.
You may have to do more sometimes. So
Yeah. So that's kind of I think a lot of people who aren't Bible college grads, haven't grown up in ministry as far as parents or anything. A lot of them have grown up with part-time leaders or part-time pastors, bivocational pastors, so they don't really understand the need for full-time service. A lot of times, I'll just be completely honest, not to make anybody feel bad if they watch this, but I got a lot of that from the congregation when I came on as full-time. Like, what are you going to do all day? What are you going to do in the office? And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, but I understand from the outside point of view. For me, I mean, I just knew from internships and being in school, just recognizing what it was. Obviously, I'll just give you my hours. So Monday, Tuesday, obviously, but to give everybody, Monday, Tuesday, I'm in here usually 8 to 3, 8 to 4, depending on if I take a lunch or not. Wednesday, instead of coming in the morning, going back home, coming back for the evening services and being here as long as we are a lot of times on Wednesdays, I take the morning off, and then I stay 12 to 9 to almost 10 some nights, so I don't have to go home and it feels like a full day. Because if you're doing the morning, going back home for like an hour or two, I mean, you're just feeling like you're at the church all day, which is okay. It's a lot easier if you just work it through. For me, that's what works for me, at least. Mm-hmm. Now, Thursday, I am in 8 to 3 or 4, same thing as Monday, Tuesday. But then I get Friday and Saturday off, which is really nice because Sunday's your really big work day, which is super nice to have that kind of those 2 days off. And I know your schedule the same way, which is super nice. I'm thankful for it. It's nice to have days off, but it's also nice compared to college where your schedule is so all over the place. You have this many classes this day. It's kind of nice having the same thing every day. Like, this is what I'm going to do, even though there's some different things that get thrown in and different conferences and meetings that you have. But as far as what I do during the day, people won't believe me when I say this, but it is, if of an 8-hour day, I'm studying bare minimum 4 hours of that, at least half of the day. When you think about doing 3 messages a week, and I'm glad you brought that up because that's what I was going to touch on, you got to think about how much time and how much study each one of those takes during the week. So if you're doing a Sunday morning message, a Sunday night message, plus a Wednesday night message, and you're not trying to slack off on it and just give them something, you want to be prepared, you want to be studied, and you want God to be able to use you, you got to put the time in to do it. And especially if you're really only getting 3 full office days, because Wednesday you're having you're having to give the sermon most of the time, and then Sunday you're just packed the whole day. You're not able to study on Sundays most times. So, and you want to take time to rest during your week while you have your Friday and Saturday. Obviously, do your personal stuff, personal devotions, but you do want to have some time in your week that you're able to recharge and refresh because you're going. But as far as those days to study, you want to be studied 4 hours at least every day. I would say is needed. And then obviously you've got your phone calls, meetings during the day. Lunches are nice. Anytime somebody wants to go to lunch is a super cool opportunity to get out of the office and talk life with them. And absolutely that's a ministry. So, but then any other events that might come up, it all kind of goes together. But yeah, so I know we kind of have similar schedules, but
I totally did not just text you and ask you what time you go in and then base my whole schedule on that. So
I wasn't going to bring it up.
That's exactly because our head pastor here, he asked me, what are your office hours going to look like? And I was like, let me ask Brooks real quick. And, I sent him exactly what you said. So I do some stuff differently. Well, we both have Friday and Saturday off. But on Wednesdays I do come in at 8 and I go home because then I usually nap right before.
Yeah.
And so then I do feel kind of terrible coming back because then I'm like all groggy and
yeah.
But then it allowed me to go home and eat before I come.
Because, I'm starving on Wednesdays a lot.
Yeah, so now I'm not hungry because we have no snack or anything on Wednesday.
Right.
Wednesday it's a shorter night. We have just a game and a lesson small group basically. Yeah. But no, my daily I do my devotions here. I don't know if that's usually what people do. So
I do too. Yeah.
I do that. I try to do one sermon a day. So I try to do Wednesdays on Monday, Sunday morning on Tuesday, and then Wednesday I try to do Sunday night. So that leaves me Thursday to have some buffer room. Right. Now, does it always happen that way? I don't know if it's ever happened that way yet, but I've tried to do it.
Right.
But, yeah. So I'm 8 to 3 usually.
Yeah.
Our secretaries are here at the same time, so it kind of, whoever comes in, they can come in to my office. I don't really have too many people coming in. I don't know if that's normal for you to have people coming in all the time.
Depends on the day. Yeah.
Okay. So there's like a Wednesday morning, like a healthy habits, like weight loss group. They come in, so I'll get some people from that.
Yeah.
But I've never had a youth come into my office just randomly because they're at school.
It'll come. Yeah, it'll come. Yeah. You didn't get much summertime in there. So
yeah, I only had like a month of summer, and
right.
I was new, so they probably weren't going to come to my office. So
yeah.
But flexibility, I feel bad when I like go get lunch. Like it's almost like I shouldn't be getting paid to go eat lunch. But and then like if we have a bunch of doctor's appointments already. Like
right now
we've had 2. So that if it allows flexibility with that.
That is nice. Yeah, it is nice.
And so like this week I've been trying to work ahead a little bit. There was no Wednesday night service. We have the event coming up on Sunday. And so I'm already prepared for that. And then Sunday morning, Albina's been, not Albina, but we've both been, mainly her, we've been doing the Bible quizzing question. So going over that, and she helped me out with that. And she'd been doing most of the questions. So
that's awesome, yeah.
So we already have Sunday morning. So this week, technically, I didn't need to work at all, but I've been trying to. I've been trying to work ahead a little bit. But,
right.
So like next week we'll be together Monday, Steeler game. And so I'll be able to take Monday off and work on Friday.
Same here.
Absolutely dead tired on Tuesday though.
Oh, we're gonna be exhausted. Yeah, I've got a big meeting that night. Yeah.
Oh goodness. So, but flexibility like that, it's crazy. So, I don't know how many hours I actually study though. I don't know. I feel so different when I am doing my sermons and everything. I'm like, I just go right into it. I just do my studying like right when I'm
preparing it.
Yeah, basically. So I write out while I'm like studying. I don't just sit there and study.
Yeah.
And then write it out. I kind of go, and so I do go back and change most of it then. But
sure. Yeah.
But at least it gets me to think about it myself before I go into what
other people. Yeah. So, well, let's talk about that a little bit more as far as preparing, because I get this question a lot. Like, how do you kind of decide what you're going to do this week? What are you going to prepare? What are you planning to teach on in the future? For me, I like to go through books in terms of my Wednesday nights, Sunday mornings, and Sunday nights. So, for instance, Wednesdays, we just finished up James yesterday. So I'm looking to start a new series next Wednesday. Sunday nights, we've done a series that we've been really through Exodus, but it hasn't been going straight through Exodus. Now, Sunday mornings, we've been doing Hebrews, and we got to Melchizedek and all that. So that's been really fun to study. But as far as you, are a little bit different for me because it's not an every week thing. Like I'm just filling in just every once in a while, when the pastor needs me to do it. So on that sense, I mean, it's kind of a one-off, so it's not a part of a series. So I'll just pick a passage that I've been either studying or I've been doing my devos in. So how do you decide as far as your meetings, what you're going to be in? How does that work?
Yeah, I do pray about it first. I see and then I do see what the youth is struggling with first. Okay. Or at least that I know about. Yeah. And so I think this is me thinking. I don't know this, but I feel like the majority of them are saved, but this is where I feel like a lot of teams are. They're either saved or they're not. But if they're saved, they haven't gone anywhere with it, basically.
A lot of lukewarm ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Lukewarm.
So, and so on, I do just do a book study that I wanted to do like a deeper dive, show them how to study the Bible.
That's nice, yeah.
So that's kind of Sunday morning. We're going through First Thessalonians, easier book to read,
yeah,
at least.
Yeah, shorter too. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah.
And so at least we'll get we haven't, Sunday mornings have been kind of crazy, so we haven't got too much into it. But so Sunday morning, we're going through First Thessalonians. We're going kind of like verse by verse, kind of seeing just how they can do that themselves then. Like, it's not just a Sunday morning, one Sunday night thing.
Right.
Wednesday night, I just kind of wanted something simple. So we're going through Psalms, and I wanted it to be more of a small group thing.
Yeah.
And so Albina takes the girls. Excuse me. I take the guys. But I do give like a little devotional kind of thing then before it. So like we go through the Psalm, short ones. So I've been cutting out all the longer ones so we can do a whole Psalm a night.
Yeah.
So basically anything with like 10 to 12 verses or under, I do in like 15 minutes, just really short, nothing too deep, just what is David basically struggling with. So and it's been applying. I think they've been really enjoying it. Albina's been doing a great job with the girls.
That's great. Yeah.
So, and they've been opening up, at least on the guy end part, and so that's been good. Sunday night, I kind of wanted to do something where we're setting what our youth group is going to be like. With me coming in new, my first message on Sunday night was about Jesus and his humility. And so I've been kind of I wanted to base our youth group off of, to let us have characteristics of Jesus. And so we've been going through characteristics of Jesus for 5 weeks. 3 of them were about love, of course. And then
it's going to take a while.
Humility. One about humility, and then one about joy.
That's great. Yeah.
So we're going to continue into that. And so,
okay.
Just gets a little taste of everything. So
I'm going to share a little bit more of the practical aspect of it. Obviously, that's more of our study time and what's going on. But there is a lot of just kind of day-to-day practical things that come up as far as youth group goes. We are in the process of expanding as far as room situations and looking for other options to meet. And we're far along in that process, but haven't completely nailed down what we're going to do. It's a great problem to not have enough space, because that means you're outgrowing the space that you had. But it's also a tough situation and thing to navigate, because you're wanting to essentially keep everybody happy in the church, and it's just not possible. Because you're going to end up taking somebody else's space that they use for something, and then you're going to, affect another part of the church, which is just tough to balance. And but I truly believe it's worth it. But that's the thing. These are the things that you don't think about when you get into it. You're going to study, you're going to make relationships, but then what about when you outgrow your room, and how you're going to progress after that, and what are you going to add to it to keep people interested? And so we're all in the process of that. And as we get closer, we can probably talk about it on here. I think it's an interesting thing to talk about. But
we also are hopefully, we're not moving rooms. We're hopefully going to be redoing our room. So that's just getting how much money we can put into that, actually doing it. Like, do we need people to do it, or can we just do it ourselves? So that's
so many questions.
And I think people don't realize, this is another thing. Even like, not that this is a burden, but like, even just the small questions every day kind of thing. So you like, I'm just going to ask the pastor real quick about this random question. But then you realize we have the whole church asking questions. It's not a burden, and we're glad that people are invested, but I think that takes up time too, when you have, especially if you have a church over 100.
Absolutely.
You have at least 20 to 25 of them asking questions on a weekly basis. So
at least, yes.
So that's something to consider.
Well, let me comment let me comment on that and ask you a question.
Okay.
Because this might come out very wrong. It might come off very rude. But you're in the office all the time. You're at the church. It seems like all day sometimes, which is not a bad thing. I'm so thankful for it. I'm not trying to sound bad at all. I love my job. I do. But if this is your job, a lot of times when you go home, you don't want to talk about your job. But this is one of those things that's like you never really leave. It's like when you come home, your wife's asking questions. Well, how is this going on in the church? And then you have a deacon calling you, and what's this going on? And then you have a congregational member that's always asking you these different questions about what's going on at the church. And there's never that time where you actually feel like, okay, I'm off work.
I'm off work. Yep.
Yes, there's never. And again, there's so much flexibility with it, and those 2 days that you get off are great. But even on your days off, you're still counseling. You're still talking with others and answering questions, and even going by the church if something needs done. Even on your off days. So it's this balance that I haven't fully figured it out yet. I've tried to do stuff, and I'm content with it, absolutely. But it's one of those things that you kind of have to figure out because you can kind of come off as rude to the people around you, because it can start to kind of irk you a little bit, like this is all I'm talking about all the time, can we talk about something else?
Yeah.
And, but it's just, we're around it all the time and they're not. So when we're around, it makes them think of it. So it's just something comes with the territory.
When you see random people at the grocery store, the random people, everywhere, then you talk to them and that can go forever too. So
I think it's with any job too, though. It's with any job. It is,
especially when you not to sound boastful, but when you're the guy that everybody looks at, we're the people they see every time church is going on. Right. So, I don't know. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed where it's not. I personally have been liking the where your job kind of never ends. It makes it feel easier, like when we're going into the office. That's just for me. It does. I mean, obviously, when you're on your off day, and then something happens, and then you're like, well, this is still going on. But
right.
And then we have youth and sports.
Yeah.
And you go to the sports game, which I've been lucky that, I don't know if this is how yours works, but let's say you have 2 hours tonight, I'm going to a soccer game. Then I can take 2 hours off in the office.
Same here.
That's flexibility. I love the flexibility of the job.
But, it's great. It is. Yeah, there's nothing better. Yeah.
So it's great.
What's next on our list?
We got sports. We got NFL week 2.
Let's talk week 2. Do you have our predictions? Do you have our tallies from week 1?
I do. So I have our record so far. Do you have a guess of what yours is?
No, and I don't want to. I'm embarrassed.
Do you think that you're winning or losing?
I think I'm losing because I picked some hot takes, man. Yeah, I picked some crazy ones.
Okay. First, I'll say mine first, and then we'll go to you.
Okay.
Well, no, we'll go yours first. We'll go yours first.
Okay.
So you have a 6-10 record.
Yeah.
Okay. Not the worst. You ain't
not great. Not great. Yeah, that's not a playoff record.
But I did go 9-7. So I did get a winning record.
Okay.
So some big takes after week 1. What was your thoughts?
Oh man, and it's nothing about being a fan or of anything of him, but I was absolutely gutted for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's just so sad. Week 1, you can roll the tape back to last week. They were my Super Bowl winners because of him. It's and even watching that game, I'm like, man, if they had that guy, they've got a team.
I mean, they still won.
Oh my goodness, they've got a team. If they had him, that game would have made me feel even more confident about my pick. Mm-hmm. They're just loaded at every position. It's just super sad because again, we're young guys, so we haven't seen, all of the history of the game. But I can't remember a time where there was this much hype around a team. They're on Hard Knocks. They've got all the press from everybody. Not a lot said that they would Super Bowl chance, but there was some that said that they would be. They had a good chance because of this signing. You've got Aaron Rodgers motivated, a 4-time MVP, just this huge player. Some argue he's still one of the best in the game, which I wouldn't deny, and even at his age. And then for him to last 4 plays, on a game that was that much hyped up. I mean, you have it on 9/11 in New York. He's carrying the American flag, and through the TV, you could hear the sound. I couldn't imagine being in that stadium to just get the life taken from you when he goes down. It's just so sad. The expectations to what it is now, I hate that. So that's my biggest takeaway from week 1 is just honestly to pray for him and, because it's going to be. I know from experience. I didn't completely rupture my Achilles, but I split it. I split my Achilles. It's the worst injury that you can have for sports, I think. I just do, and I am a little biased just because I've experienced it, but it's excruciating. It was the most lonely time of my life. It was. I mean, you just feel like there's nobody there with you. Obviously, the Christian answer, God never leaves us, never forsakes us, but for you, I mean, you just feel so depressed. I was non-weight bearing for 8 months. Couldn't put a single ounce of anything on my leg for 8 months, crutches and a scooter for 8 months. So for him to completely rupture it, I mean, he's looking at least a 12-month recovery to, dude, I saw the calf pull. I saw it completely ridiculous. Come off of it. It's so sickening. I think he's looking at maybe even 16 to 18-month recovery. And it's going to be a dark time for him. So it's sad, man. I can provide a lot of insight to that injury, man. It's awful. It is. It is. And the rehab's horrible. It is. So.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine either. And I mean, his contract's only 2 years, right?
I know.
With New York, so he might be recovering for that whole 2 years.
He did release the statement that he'd be back, but I don't know. It's a tough injury at his age. I mean, it took everything in me to get back, and I only split it. I didn't rupture it. So
I don't know. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
My week 1, so here's my whole backstory on this. So we had a Cumberland-wide revival. United on the Rock went really good.
Yeah.
So I couldn't watch the Steelers game at 1:00.
I wasn't going to bring up the Steelers.
Oh goodness. Listen, man. So I did well though. I turned off every single notification that I could get about the Steelers, and I get to United on the Rock, and it's around like 4:30ish. Game's about over, and one of our church members comes up and he says, "They look too hot today." And I was like, "Well, I didn't watch it yet, so don't tell me." Yeah. And he's like, "It was bad." And I was like, "Okay." Oh, no. So I go home, and so I heard that. I was like, I'm just gonna watch the highlight. My plan was, me and Alex, we were gonna go back, and watch the whole game. We were just gonna go watch it after the revival. He had to go do something. I said, I'm just gonna watch the highlights. Apparently, it wasn't bad. Patrick Peterson is the worst man on this planet. That dude, 2 touchdowns on him.
For him to say what he did about Purdy, and then for Purdy to put it right over him, I mean, that's bad. That's bad. It's a bad look. Yeah.
TJ Watt had a good game, though.
Yeah,
3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles.
Yeah.
Our offense looked absolutely horrendous. Despite all preseason. I know it's just preseason, but that was still our starting lineup versus the starting Bills lineup, and we scored 2 touchdowns. So I'm excited.
Pickens is your guy. Did you see his little, I don't know what you call it, did you see his video where he was kind of mumbling some stuff? That didn't look good, man. I know it's week 1, but man, I think there's trouble already.
Yeah. I think they'll be fine. I think I don't know what in the world happened. But I'm hoping week 2 is better because we're gonna be there and it better be good.
I'm hoping it's not. I'm hoping it's not.
30-7 stinking loss. Prime time Monday Night Football in Pittsburgh.
The Browns looked awfully good, buddy. The Browns looked
that's
awfully
another thing.
good.
Well, yeah, the Bengals looked worse than us, though, I will say. So
again, I'm a Browns fan, but I like the Bengals too. I like the Ohio teams, but I will say I was very impressed with the Browns. Thought they looked great. I think the conditions and Burrow coming off injury.
True.
The players were talking that they couldn't even keep the ball in their hands, even with the gloves. I saw some interviews with just the conditions. So I'm going to give them another week. He's got too many weapons to not turn around.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be just fine. They're a little bit too well put together to not be good. Steelers just have too many question marks, man. They do.
They do.
Too many question marks.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. Our cornerbacks we have Joey Porter, rookie, and we got dirt old Patrick Peterson.
I know he was the best in the game at one point.
Yeah, and he. Oh goodness, I was getting a call. Okay. Yeah, I just don't know what happened. It was just bad all around. It wasn't even just Brandon Ayuk. It was everything. I
was pretty surprised about that.
Which, hey, for the 49ers, I'm glad they're not in our division. They're going to have a good year, it looks like. So, yeah.
They're stacked, man. They are stacked. We can talk about fantasy later, but I made a trade earlier in the year to trade away Brandon Ayuk, and I'm already regretting that. He looked great.
Yeah.
McCaffrey, man, I know we're in a dynasty league just to give some people. If we had the number one pick, I still probably would take Jefferson, but then I'd rank Chase and then McCaffrey 2 and 3 if it wasn't a dynasty league. But he is a little bit older, and you want to play him for the future. But man, it's almost worth it looking at how good that guy is. Man, he's just special. You can put him everywhere on the field, and he'll make an impact. So
he definitely is the best all around player than those two.
Best in the game. I think you got to give it to him right now until Travis Hunter gets in the league, and then goodness, you can play him every single position on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. But anyway, let's go ahead. Let's give our week 2 prediction.
Okay.
I have them all.
You're going to have to list the games. Yeah, you're going to have to list the games.
I have them all in prime time where they're at.
Okay.
So we have tonight Vikings and Eagles in prime time at the Eagles. So
I'm going to take the Eagles again. I know they had the Patriots week 1, but man, they looked good again. They looked awfully good again. So I'm going to take the Eagles.
Okay. I think it's going to be a crazy night. I think that's simply because of this. Okay. Usually I'll take the Eagles on this, and it's prime time, so this is just a lot of not good. I'm taking the Vikings.
It's going to be a fun game. Yeah, it's going to be a fun game.
I'm going to take the Vikings solely because last time Darius Slay owned Justin Jefferson. Okay. And
he's got something for him, you're saying.
I think Justin Jefferson. You have Justin Jefferson, right?
Yes, I do.
I'm not playing you this week in fantasy, and I am completely thankful for that because I think Justin Jefferson.
I hope you're right. I do. I hope you're right.
Yeah, of course.
But I think they're going to throw everything but the kitchen sink at him tonight and just make everybody else beat them except him.
Most likely. Yeah.
I love Kirk Cousins. I think he's a great guy. He's a great testimony. We talked about it week 1. Yeah. But I just think I hope you're right. I'd like to see it happen because if the Vikings lose again, Jefferson already, his body language looked kind of rough after the game in game 1. I don't know, man. They need to keep him happy. That's all I'll say because he hasn't signed an extension.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I hope.
Yeah.
Okay. Game 2, Ravens at the Bengals. Division game.
That's tough. I'm trying to actually think smart and not just think with my fantasy team. because that's the tough part. Because I'd like to see Lamar run for 500 yards.
Yes, you would.
But I'm gonna take a bounce back game from Burrow and Chase and take the Bengals at home. I'm gonna try and I was a little bit too risky week one and it hurt me, so I'm gonna take the safer pick this week. We'll take the Bengals at home bounce back game.
I agree. I think the Bengals will have a bounce back week. I also hope for my fantasy wise, I have Joe Burrow and Ja'Marr Chase.
Yes, you do.
So yeah.
Y'all check back at the end of the year if he still has those two guys, because I'm working hard.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. This was the upset of the week last week. The Lions. The Seahawks are at the Lions.
Man,
I loved every minute of that game.
I was very surprised. Now I was upset at Gibbs not getting a lot of touches because man, every single time he touched the ball was like magic on the field. I was like, man, this guy's special. But I'm thinking they're going to work him in a little bit more.
I think so.
But I'm going to take, dude, they impressed me. And the Seahawks, I just don't fully trust yet. I wasn't impressed with them last week at all. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to take the Lions at home again.
Yeah. And did the Seahawks win? Seahawks lost last week to the Rams.
I thought they lost. Yeah, they did. Yeah.
They lost to the Rams last week, which that's kind of embarrassing nowadays.
Without Cooper Kupp and so.
So I'm also going to agree with you on that one. I think the Lions look great. Gibbs hopefully gets some more touches.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not playing you in fantasy, so I really don't care.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Colts at Texans. Both lost last week. Both 0-1.
I'm going to take the Colts. Richardson, man, he looked special. And I said this last week. He looked special. I think he's upset after week one. I know there's a little scare at the end of the game, but they're saying he's healthy. I'm going to take them just because I just don't trust Houston at all. Yeah. I mean, at all. So I'm going to take him. I'm going to take the Colts.
I agree. Richardson, 21 points on fantasy. Great.
Yeah.
He looked great. He did look great.
He did. Yeah.
Bears or Buccaneers?
Last time against the Packers, and the Packers absolutely showed that they still own them. But I'm gonna take a bounce back game from the Bears. Okay. I think that last game was a fluke from the Buccaneers. I may be completely wrong.
Hey, Baker knew the signs, man. Did you see that?
I saw that. I don't know. Baker has those one games where he's just like, man, I'm gonna shock the world, and then after that, it's like, yeah, I'm back. So I'm gonna take the Bears here. I'm looking for Justin Fields to get DJ Moore involved a little bit more, and we'll see.
I'm gonna believe into the Baker hype, man.
Are you?
They're gonna at home.
Okay.
The Bears are struggling a little bit. If Justin Fields can figure out how to be quarterback from now on.
I thought he looked okay week one.
Yeah.
Because maybe he's getting involved. He just needs to use what he has.
Yeah. I agree. But I think the Buccaneers will take it. So
we'll see. So we'll see. Maybe I can gain one on you here.
They got weapons over there.
Oh man, they're stacked. They're stacked at receiver. They're still. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see if Evans makes it through this year.
Yeah,
I'd be really interested.
I don't know.
That'll change the league if he gets traded somewhere. That'll change the entire league.
Yeah, it would. Because he's nasty.
Oh, he's special. Yeah.
Chiefs at Jaguars.
Chiefs at Jaguars. Is Kelsey back yet or no?
I don't think so. I could be wrong on that.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but the Jaguars look good. I'm gonna take the Jaguars at home.
Okay.
Without Kelsey, it did not look like the same offense. You've got, they did not look like the same team. I was just about to bring him up. That's your wide receiver one right now. That is.
And he dropped 3 passes.
Mahomes looked great, and he's going to control the game. I think it'll be a close game. I do, but the Jaguars look good. The Jaguars look really good.
They do.
Ridley really popped out on the scene. So
yeah,
I'm taking Jaguars.
That was something special. I just can't. As much as I'm hating on Patrick Mahomes, I think he will I think he will
bounce back.
absolutely dominate this next game. I think he has a lot that he's angry coming into this game.
Yeah.
I think they will. I think they'll win it. Now, if Travis Kelce is back, it's 100% the Chiefs for me.
If Kelce's back, I'd pick the Chiefs. But
I think even without Kelce, I think this week will be. I think Andy Reid ain't putting up with this stuff this week. So
yeah.
So I think they'll have a bounce back week. But Packers at Falcons.
I'm gonna take the away team here. I'm gonna take the Packers. I was impressed with how they looked. Falcons just have a little bit too many question marks. I don't trust Ritter. I don't. I think their run game's great. Bijan is special, but I think I'm gonna take the away team here.
Yeah, I think the Packers did look good. I think the Falcons. I think Robinson's really gonna show up this next week. I did take the Falcons last week.
Yeah.
And they won.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
I think they'll still be good. Raiders at Bills.
It's got to be the Bills here. It's got to be. I think they are ticked about that. I think Allen will play great. I think Diggs will have another big game. I think they'll bounce back. The Raiders looked okay though.
They did. They did beat the Broncos, but
they looked all right. Yeah.
So Josh Allen looked absolutely horrible in that game.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, I really couldn't.
It wasn't even just like it wasn't his fault. It was completely his fault with his interception.
I just don't get it. And we always talk about his turnovers, but I mean, a lot of times it doesn't seem like it's all his fault. He just takes a lot of risks. But man, he did not look like himself that last game. I mean, I was shocked.
Yeah. So. Chargers at Titans.
I'm gonna take the Chargers.
Chargers?
I'm gonna take the Chargers.
I think that's the right choice. I just don't know what the Titans really got going for them right now.
I don't either. It's sad.
They didn't look terrible against the Saints, but
it didn't look great either, though.
No.
Hopkins was involved, though. I was kind of surprised to see how involved he was this quick. Henry didn't have a great game. He played okay. I think he'll play better, but I think the Chargers offense looked great that last game. So
if they can get their defense on the same page, they'll be fine. Austin Eckler is that guy, though. Good
man.
He's up there.
Mr. Consistent.
He's up there with McCaffrey.
He is. He does everything. He just doesn't get talked about the same. Yeah. You're exactly right.
49ers at Rams.
I'm taking the 49ers. Yeah.
Yeah, especially after that performance last week.
Yeah.
That was
they look like they're going to be tough to beat, man. I don't see the 49ers getting beat too often this year.
Yeah, that was yeah, I agree. I think 49ers will win. Giants at Cardinals.
I'm going to take the Giants bounce back week. Don't really trust the Cardinals. I know it's a home game, but I'm going to take the Giants.
I agree. I'm going to be taking the Giants. I picked up their defense this week, so
there you go. There you go.
They better be doing good. So I think the Cardinals just don't have a team right now. Yeah. Joshua Dobbs is their starting quarterback.
Yeah.
So they got problems.
Just hard to trust. Yeah. It's tough to trust.
Yeah, I just don't know who else. They have Marcus Brown. I mean, James Conner. Just not
a lot going for him.
And their coach is just so. Have you seen his hype video?
I don't think.
Oh, it looks, and he's not encouraging. It looks like at all. He's so
really
level-headed.
Wow.
It's weird. Yeah. But Jets at Cowboys. Big matchup, honestly.
I'm gonna take the Cowboys. If Rodgers started quarterback, I'd take the Jets. The Cowboys, man, they looked good. That's the best defense in football, it looks like right now. Good grief, man. They looked special. They looked special this year. Again, they're going to be tough to beat. It's going to be them and the Eagles, I think, in the NFC. But, man.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think the Jets will.
Wow.
Will do it. I think the Cowboys will not have as great of a week as last week, but it's hard to say that. I don't know. But
I might get one on you there. I don't know.
I think you will. I'm taking a bold take with this one.
Yeah, that's
especially with Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
The Jets do have a great receivers and running backs, so that
I will say, Wilson and him have good chemistry.
They do.
So what's just confusing to me is, and it's a good problem to have because they've got two very, very talented backs. I mean, Breece Hall looked like the best back in football. That last game, he looked like he was that good. And he's still so young. Coming off of an injury, I was interested to see how fast he'd look, and he looked fast as I've seen him. And then you've got Dalvin Cook just powering his way through everybody. So they've got, man, it stinks because I'm not even a Rodgers fan like that, but it's just, man, I think they win the Super Bowl with that team.
And they have Michael Carter, who isn't
They
bad.
do. No, he would start on a lot of teams. So,
yeah, they got talent. It really depends on Wilson.
It's all on him.
So,
I'd like to see him make a move. I really would.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, I think it'd be good. They would have somebody they can go to after Rodgers.
Yeah.
But the Commanders at the Broncos.
I'm gonna take the Broncos. I think it's a must win for Denver. I mean, this is a must win. If they go down 0-2 with Sean Payton now, Wilson might be in trouble. I mean, I think it's a must win. They'll get this one.
Not the same though. Not the same. I think the Commanders will make them go 0-2. I like the Commanders. I mean, they did play the Cardinals, so
yeah, it's hard to tell.
So I think this will, if the Commanders can go up 2-0.
That's a good test. Yeah,
that's a good, especially in that division. That might be the best division in the NFC. Even after the Giants last week, the Giants are still great. I mean, all of those teams can make arguably the playoff.
Yeah, that's got to be the one this year for sure. It was last year. It's got to be this year.
Yeah, for sure. Dolphins at Patriots.
Dolphins looked awfully good. I'm gonna take the Dolphins.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. That 466 yards.
Yep. Nobody can say much about him anymore, man.
No. Dude, he
showed up.
He told him.
Yeah.
Oh. That's also a primetime game. Dolphins at Patriots is Sunday night.
That'll be fun. Yeah.
So Monday there's two primetime games.
Yeah.
Which is Saints at Panthers is the first one.
I'm gonna take the Saints.
Saints. I think being at home, I'm gonna take the Panthers.
Okay.
I'm hoping Bryce Young has a good game. Just want to see the Panthers actually have a team.
It'd be cool. Yeah.
We'll see. Now here we go. This is the matchup of the week.
This is the one.
This is it. So Browns at Steelers, primetime at Pittsburgh. I think you know my pick.
Browns by 35.
Oh goodness! And the thing is, it's not. Not even. That's not too far out there. You know. So. Yeah, I think Steelers will have a bounce back week this week. I'm hoping. Okay. I'm hoping. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had another call. Man, I'm getting so many calls. Okay.
You are. I haven't got to see one this time. You're a popular guy.
But okay, there we go. We have. Hopefully, you can have a better week. Get to the winning record side of things.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I can continue to stay into the winning side.
Well, let's move on because we don't want to keep everybody forever. We've already. I think we're getting close to an hour.
We are. We can talk forever.
Crazy. Let's talk. We can. This is just fun for us. This is like our time to catch up with each other, and you're just getting to sit in on it. Yep. So we wanted to talk about this new NBA rule, which has been a huge problem that everyone's been talking about for years. Mm-hmm. And to be honest with you, I mean, I've been upset at times. I'm probably the biggest LeBron James fan that most people ever meet. I would defend him if he committed murder. I mean, I just feel that strongly about it. But it's one of those things. Like I try to catch a game of his every year, at least one, sometimes two. Either go to Charlotte or Cleveland, just try to stay close. When he was in Cleveland, it was a lot easier, so I'd go more often. But I mean, there's been games where I go and he's not hurt, but he takes a night off because it's the second of a back-to-back, and he's played sometimes 4 games in 5 nights. And I mean, you just need a break. And I understand that, but when you think about how much money is being paid to watch these guys, for them to sit out, the NBA's now established a rule: you can't sit 2 stars at one time, I think is the rule, right? 2 stars.
So. I think
2 stars for
no more than 1 star player is unavailable for the same game.
Yes. So I don't know how they're going to fully enforce that, because there's legitimate injuries that are going to come up, you know. And they'll just, I mean, they've changed in the last couple of years. They used to disguise it as an injury, but now that we've become so lenient, they say, well, we're taking this game off for rest. They used to just lie about the injuries, which is not right, but I'm just saying, I could definitely see some teams trying to get away with that by resting due to injury, and there's nothing you can say about that. If it's a legitimate injury. Now, obviously, if it's not, then there is, but that's going to be tough to really enforce, I think.
Yeah, and who is your star players? Is that your starters, or
so they defined it? I don't have it right in front. I wish I did. It's basically they take the last 3 years. So if you've made an All-Star team, an All-NBA team, or I think it's one of your end of year awards, either MVP, DPOY, in the last 3 years. So if you have a player that's made one of those teams in the last 3 years, they are considered a star. So those players cannot take off a game for rest more than 2 on the same team. Which you got to point the finger at the Clippers, you know, with Kawhi and Paul George, because they do it half the season.
They're legit. So I have it up. They're legit. The picture.
That's crazy. Yeah, they're the betting favorite, it looks like. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And then so the teams must ensure that they are available for national TV and in-season tournament games. Like they have to be available.
Be very tough.
So I'm assuming injury isn't like playing an effect into that. Like if you're injured,
no, it can't. It can't. So, yeah, it can't. There's no way.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You gotta think about this, and I can provide just a little bit of perspective. Obviously, you play sports, but as far as the basketball, like wear and tear, like the toll on your body. Obviously, I've had injuries, lingering injuries that added to that. But when you think about these guys playing 82 games a year, that's 1 year. That's 1 season. College season, you're looking at 25 to a maximum. You can't play more, excluding tournaments, 30 games. And I just remember from my experience, and the most I ever played in a season was 24 games. That's the most I ever got. And at the end of that year, I had to have surgery to repair my ankle. You know, I mean, my body was completely trashed, you know, at the end of that. And that's why I take, after every season, I would take a 2-month period where I wasn't playing pickup. Now I'd shoot and I'd run and try and still stay in not in game shape, but at least in decent shape. But I wouldn't play 5-on-5. I wouldn't do the grueling cutting because I needed that time to give my body some rest. Like now I've been outside of it. I haven't been running the way I used to, like obviously in college, and my body feels great, you know, but you got to think about those in those times when, I mean, that's 20 games, guys. That's not even, I mean, that's a quarter of their season, a quarter of it. And they've got to do that over and over and over again. And you're talking about guys, I mean, LeBron James, that's why they call him the Iron Man. But I mean, going into a 21st year of doing that, plus the playoffs, sometimes 16 games added to that. So I get it. Like as a fan perspective, I love to see that we're doing stuff to try and get people, get these guys to play every night. But at the same time, man, I get it. Now people take advantage of that, but it's a tough season. It is a tough season playing 48 minutes of just straight cutting, taking the bumps, taking the hits, and all the recovery. I mean, it's nonstop.
And all the travel too. I mean, they
it's
travel.
exhausting. It's exhausting, and I just know the smallest fraction of what they're going through. I mean, the smallest, and
Yeah.
so I can definitely see where they're coming from.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
it'll be interesting to see how they enforce it. Yeah.
Yeah, I that's what I'm interested to see is how lenient they are with it.
Yeah.
What
I think it'll kind of be a
defines
trial and error thing. Yeah, I think
what
they'll just see
defines an
how.
injury nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It'll be good for fans though.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you're not going to miss out on your players, but
You're exactly right. Yeah.
Except when they do now, they'll take the 1 game off for the year that you're going to be at. So
I know. It always happens. Yeah.
You better make
always
sure
happens.
LeBron is playing wherever you go.
Oh my goodness, man! I've been sick on multiple occasions about that. Showing up and he's on the bench in street clothes, man. It's awful.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, okay. Did we want to talk about Star Wars, or are we gonna talk about it next week?
Let's push that one to next week and give it a little bit more time for that section. All we'll say to leave them on, that was wild. That's what we'll say. That was nuts. For those of you who are keeping up with it, but maybe haven't seen that latest episode, man, that was all of our childhoods just put on display, man. That was awesome. So
I loved it.
Yeah, I did too. So we'll save the breakdown for next week, though.
Yeah, but we'll get back to it next week. Hopefully, a lot more is going to happen in next week's episode.
I'm hoping. Yeah.
So, yeah. I will say this. My one comment. I was glad I was wrong on last week's theory.
Yeah.
Absolutely wrong, and I am so glad I was.
And I'm thinking what he actually is now is amazing.
Yeah.
So, oh man. We'll talk about it. I'm
anyway,
to get into it. Yeah. Okay. I know.
So let's go ahead and end it with our college story.
So here's my story. This includes both of us because we all had the same class. We were in the same degree, same concentration. So every single class that we had, we were together. But a lot of times, and I'm just going to throw his name out there. I don't know if he's going to watch it or not, but this might get him in trouble. But everybody knew he did it anyway. So this is Isaac Reinhardt, our good friend. Very close with him. He made classes so much fun. But his thing was to really disrupt the class in the most smooth way that you could possibly do it. So what he would do was, well, obviously you're not supposed to be on your phone in class, but I mean, it wasn't a super strict rule. But what he would do is act that he dropped his phone. But his dropping was throwing it across the classroom. So what he would do, he'd take his phone and just chuck it while the professor was talking, and then he would get up and proceed to go grab the phone in the most dramatic way and then walk back to his seat. The professor would ask if he was okay, and he would just say, "Yeah, I just dropped my phone. I'm sorry." And then this would happen 2 or 3 times during the class hour. So that was I looked forward to that every time. There was one time where he was on his phone, and we were memorizing a verse, and I just told him really the best way to memorize is just to put it to music. Meanwhile, this is right before our class is about to start. And he said, well, what song? I thought he was joking. I didn't think he was going to do it.
Okay, I remember this one.
I say, yeah, you're right beside me. I said, just turn on Still Dre. It's got a good beat to it. He blasts Still Dre, a Bible college, and starts putting the verse to that song. And everybody, gosh, my face has never gotten more red because I thought it was my fault. I mean, I took the blame immediately. And I was like, I wanted everybody to know this was not me. This was all him. So, yeah. We're putting Isaac up for trial right now, but those are my stories. Yeah.
While we're at it, we might as well just as well tell about him in a certain professor's class. Absolutely on his phone. Okay, so we're sharing. Was it prayer requests?
Yeah.
His little brother who is going through this massive surgery. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
And he's just on his phone.
Oblivious to everything.
And the professor just absolutely, Isaac, are you or what? He said, "Isn't that right, Isaac?" or something like that.
Yeah.
And Isaac, what's going on? He probably dropped his phone too there, just not on purpose. And the professor apologizes that he woke him up from his nap.
Yes.
I just don't know how he got away with the things he got away with.
Everything. Yeah, he got away.
I feel like if I would have done that, I would have gotten in trouble somehow.
Yeah, again, the professor might see this when I tell it, but we can laugh about it now. But I'm in the back row with him and two others that I won't name. All three of them are on their phones. I've got my hands underneath the desk, not on my phone, and I'm the one who gets asked if I'm on my phone. I'm like, nope, but right there are. So maybe you can ask them. But man, that was Isaac. He's the best. He's hilarious.
Oh, yep, love that guy. But
we'll have some more. We'll have some more stories next week. But that's going to be our tradition to kind of close with that. Do you want to close this out, or do you want me to?
Yeah, sure. So thanks for watching. I hope that you are encouraged, at least with our ministry. I hope that you enjoyed listening to us somehow. This is really just for us, but we'll put it out. Hey, listen, not to boast, okay? This is a little boast, but we did almost get 100 views on this last time.
I know we're popping off already.
So we appreciate it. Hope you can tune in next week, week 3. We'll talk about Ahsoka, update you in ministries. But okay, we'll see you guys next week.
See y'all next week. Thanks for listening.